What's going on, MSFers? Duelum here, and today we're going to be talking about Cosmic Crucible Season 17 defense. That's right, Season 17. You believe it's been 17 seasons already? What a time to be alive. So, we're going to go over the room rules, then we'll go over all of the defenses we're going to be running, and yeah, it'll be a good time. So, room number 1, we do have Glass Cannon making its triumphant return. Remember when this was a room and then they took it away because Starjammers sucked all the butts in there, and then they said, "Oh yeah, it's because it's because we didn't like how the room was performing." Yeah, that was a lie. All right, on defense and offense, striker characters spawn with safeguard. That's cool. Gain 90% minus max health, so essentially spawn with 10% max health. Gain 100% damage as well, same thing with strikers. And then on spawn with 5 death proof, and then fortifier characters spawn with taunt. I love this room. I think this room is awesome. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I am so happy this room is here, and we're going to have some pain in here. So we're going to have Jugs as a fortifier. We're going to have Iron Patriot as a fortifier as well. So we have 2 different taunts immediately. And then we're going to have APOC as a striker, Thanos as a striker, and Mephisto as a striker. So Mephisto taking 2 turns right away is going to be absolutely death and destruction for a lot of people. And it's going to be really interesting. Even if you bring in Null in here, it's going to be painful because you're going to have a lot of issues with Null taking 2 turns with double damage. And that's going to hit very, very hard. Thanos passive, obviously, doing that extra damage. And then also, we have 20% extra damage from APOC, and then we also have 50% extra damage for villains from Iron Patriot. So I'm very excited for this room. I can't wait to see people trying to navigate all of that. Obviously, there are things that stop death proof on spawn, like Medusa plug and play is pretty cool in that instance. Interested to see what people are going to do, though. I like it. I'm curious. Room number 2, blood transfusion on defense and offense. All characters on turn gain bleed. With bleed, gain 5% damage per bleed. When applying bleed, gain defense up. I'm going to treat this like a blank room, and I'm just going to throw Starjammers in here just to have a team in here. It's not that big of a deal, honestly. I don't think this room is really going to be that crazy for anything, unless maybe there's like an Old Man Logan comp you want to do in here, but honestly, I don't think it's worth it. I feel like this would have been a cool room when Old Man Logan first came out, and it did all the things with bleeds, and bleeds were super important, and Old Man Logan was really hard to kill, but nowadays, there's nothing too crazy with bleeds going on here that would really be like, wow, this is a game changer here. So I'm just going to throw in Starjammers so it soaks up either their own Starjammers or a cursed, and that'll be fine with me. Room number 3, Legends on defense and offense. Legendary characters gain 20% base stats on any ally turn, gain assist. Now, on turn, spread positive effects to adjacent allies. So I'm going to do something a little interesting here. I'm going to throw in 2 legendary characters, Black Knight, good old Gladiator, and Kahori. So the thought process here is, I'm going to be spawning with immunity, right? Which is great. Because of Chuckle Nuts here, because of Quasar. So Quasar spawning with immunity, amazing. And then they're going to have to contend with turn meter as well as speed stat. So Old Man Logan obviously brings turn meter and speed stat with his kit. Turn meter from getting hit, and then he gets 20% turn meter, and then speed stat when there's bleeds out there as well. And then the bleeds give him, I think it's 30% speed stat if I'm not mistaken. So just causing a little bit of issues there. Black Knight's obviously going to put out bleeds very quickly the second they take a turn, unless they stop the charges, which they absolutely can with like their own Old Man Logan. I could absolutely throw in another charged character that's going to be higher damage than Old Man Logan to be able to counteract that. I might end up doing that, but I might not as well. Kahori, obviously, to mess with turn meter here. So what happens with Kahori is she can flip positive effects to negative effects as well, especially if you bring in like a pre-taunter to try to deal with Kahori. Then it's going to get flipped into bleed. And then what happens is Old Man Logan's going to be going very fast there as well. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work. You probably could just immortal this and it'll go perfectly fine. but then you can't immortal other things. So, oh well, that's fine. But yeah, nothing too crazy here. You could take up Kahori to gear tier 20 or even Old Man Logan. I think Old Man Logan would be better than Kahori. But I'm saving a lot of my mutant gear for the future and a lot of just gear in general for the future, not just mutant. I'm just saving it for the future because I'd rather be prepped than have no gear for really good tunes when they come out, you know? All right, Mutant Double, a new room that we have not seen before. So on offense and defense, villain mutant characters. Whenever a villain mutant character uses an ultimate ability, revive an ally villain mutant character at 100% health. This can only occur once per character using their ultimate. The one thing I'm scared about this room is if everyone's dead except for one and someone uses their ultimate, do they revive everybody or do they revive just one? But the wording here suggests it's just one. Revive an ally, not all villain mutant allies. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work because that could be pretty interesting if you like can't kill an Omega Red or you can't kill somebody and he ults or somebody ults and then revives everybody. That'd be kind of nuts. Also, this is not like gaining a revive once on spawn. So like Black Cat can't counter this. North Star can't counter this. This is active revive as well. So like Vigilante can't counter this with Hitmonkey passive. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work. The only thing that looks like this that can counter this is going to be like Mephisto that just stops revives or like permanent kills, like Black Bolt permanent kills, Spider Weaver permanent kills, stuff like that. So here's what I'm going to run. We've got Emma, Shadow King, Madeline Pryor, and then Phoenix Force. So the thought here is Emma is going to slow their team down. Shadow King is going to hit like a freight train at gear tier 20. Also, if he gets to his ultimate, A, he's going to revive, and B, he's going to hit like a freight train. Madeline Pryor, quite slow, but let me tell you, her special slaps now. Her special is absolutely insane, hits extremely hard, so I'm pretty interested to see that. Omega Red and Phoenix Force, obviously, very, very good here as well. They're always going to be providing some great utility, all that kind of stuff, and just damage, and then you're just contending with a lot of stuff here. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work. The Emma in here is definitely going to mess with Immortal a good amount. So I'm really interested to see how somebody's going to navigate this. It's nothing too crazy, but I just looked at this and I went, yeah, I'm going to have some fun with this. And I get to use my Gear Tier 20 Madeline Pryor at 3 diamond. So what can go wrong, right? Nothing. All right, room number 5. On offense and defense, all characters at the end of turn, characters with trauma gain bleed. And I don't really see anything being crazy with this room unless you use like a Mephisto here or like a Cursed because they put trauma out there. But other than that, I don't really see anything else too crazy. I guess you could run like a Mephisto Accursed in here, and that would be pretty interesting. I know a lot of people have been running Mephisto Accursed on defense and have been loving it. It does very well. But there's going to be a command center event to use either Azazel or Rachel Summers on offense twice. So you could just use Rachel Summers on offense twice, or if you need to use Azazel, make sure you're not putting them on defense, but it doesn't really matter too much. You can use Rachel. So that's another choice, but I'm going to go a little bit easier. I'm going to just do Sus with Liberty, because this is going to be a bait for Immortal. If somebody immortals this, then that's really good for me, because then they won't have Immortal for 3. They won't have potentially Immortal for 4. So I'd really like to see if they use that there. They'll probably end up using Cabal, though, because that's what a lot of people use against this. But again, that takes Cabal off the table. I'm okay with that. So interested to see how somebody is going to navigate this. But it's a straightforward defense. People have seen it before. It's nothing too crazy. Super Scroll is mostly there just for controlling effects now. He does not do much damage anymore, which is sad to say because he used to be the best character in the game without a shadow of a doubt. Definitely not the case anymore. If you want to go more defense heavy, absolutely Mephisto Accursed is an option here. You could absolutely do that. That's for sure going to be a thing. Other than that, I don't really see this room being all that crazy. You'll notice a lot of the rooms are like that, except for room 4 and room 1. A lot of the rooms are kind of crap. And room 6. Room 6 is pretty cool. Dacia's Avengers, so he's getting some reparations for his last room not working correctly. So if you have at least one city ally, when an ally uses their special or ultimate ability, all allies gain 5% barrier. If you have at least one global ally, when attacked, allies fill speed bar by 5%. And if you have at least one cosmic ally, allies do damage that reduces the max health of the target by the same amount. So very interesting here. We've got city, global, and cosmic being covered here. I think the city one is the least interesting, unfortunately. It was nice when the ability energy was a thing with city, but that obviously they couldn't figure that out. So here's what I'm going to run. Pretty straightforward. Null, Gore, CB, Emma, and Odin. You can absolutely use Professor X in here instead of Captain Britain. That's absolutely an option. But you'd be leaving yourself open to like a Black Hat stun turn 1 on Professor X, or even just like Immortal. But Immortal wouldn't do too well because obviously Immortal doesn't do well into Null or Odin. But yeah, I'm just going to run this. I'm going to keep Professor X for offense. I'm keeping Accursed for offense. I'm keeping... I don't have Cabal for offense, obviously, but that's fine. Cabal's been really falling off lately, but I can still use the 2-piece Cabal without Iron Patriot. Fun fact, you could do that. So I still have a good amount for offense. I still have Professor X, obviously. I don't have Mephisto or APOC, but that's fine. I'm just kind of having fun with it. I want to see what works. I want to see how things are performing on defense. And honestly, I just want to have fun in room 1 and see how people are going to navigate all this damage and watch Thanos just delete people with his passive, because that'll be funny to watch. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you guys are running in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the defense. I'm sure you're going to trash it as per usual, because that's what you guys do. I'm used to it. But hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, this has been Duel 'em. Later, MSFers.